in the jungle, and playing around this instead of seeing it in the gold lane is going to be a little bit different, especially now that it is going against Lucas this time around with the Fredrin here.
All right, let's get into game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Will Cambodia utilize the momentum of that equalizer in game number 2, or will Myanmar pull off another comeback, this time in game number 3? Who will take this full 3-game series over? Will it be Myanmar or Cambodia? It's your time to spam the live chat with your predictions. Will it be Myanmar? Will it be Cambodia? As we get to see both Lucas and Ken in the jungle, and Boxy already very early on trying to force out that retry, and he should be able to do so because you can see from Ken at least no retribution available, but he's already very low. Whoa!
Oh, well, that's a great start for Ken. Gets the first blood already. I'm not sure, it's boxing probably didn't have to commit that much to it, but he ends up dying in anyway. So, this is the difficult situation to be in. If the Roger gets a momentum in either, whether that's the jungle, whether that's in the gold lane Roger, it is kind of tough to deal with. So right now it looks like boxing is just going to go ahead, and at least to get vision over here, make it still hard for Ken to deal with. He's going to take that front side. Lucas also walks up in there. Now Justin gets the front of the damage. It looks like who did get the purple? Lucas is going to be the one to fall. Ken got the purple buff, and now boxing in trouble once again. Has to flicker out. Should be fine unless he gets chased down. But this is going to allow Ken to go ahead and continue to get resources on the map. And with that, now Myanmar finds themselves 2 kills up.
Oh man, Cambodia with a very early invade, right? And both the invades really failed for Cambodia. They gotta respect the Roger is actually a really good jungler, man. Even with the Impure Rage, right? You get so much more sustain in that jungle, and they're actually gonna go for another engage. And it does seem like, I don't know if Ken actually picked that up, but if he did, then yeah, Lucas will not be level 4. And this is a big problem coming into the first turtle, where Ruby, DD, and Justin are already very close to that level 4. They're gonna have a massive power spike. And even Zide in the mid lane, he should be able to clear up the whole wave and get level 4. So Lucas struggling here. If he doesn't get this goal XP crab, okay, he does.
Yeah. Oh, Ken also taking a lot of damage himself. Oh, Lucas just swoops on in, gets the turtle, and now Ken's going to be in trouble. And sorry, Felix will pick up the kill. Zidez in trouble, trying to get to the mid lane. Will flicker out, gets a shot though. Oh, boxing. Is boxing going to go for it? Throws up the Guardian's Berry, stall out the recall a little bit longer. But Cambodia finally fighting back in the exchange, and well, that whole thing will actually give them this at least equal now in the gold and a little bit of a lead to work around with.
Yeah, that was really good. Cambodia desperately needed that win, and I think for Lucas, right, we were talking about in game number 1 and game number 2 how he was just missing out on these retries. The fact that he got 2 victories there, taking the XP crab away and then straight out into a steal in the jungle, in the turtle, is great for him. Definitely some confidence boost as well, man, because he definitely needs that now coming into game number 3. It's a leather jerkin start for him, so I think he should be going for a Dreadnought armor first. Yeah, and he does go and complete that Dreadnought armor with the tough boots. So he already has tenacity, now added physical defense up against these beefy members. They can deal damage with their abilities. But for Ken, it should still be that Windtalker rush in towards maybe a Sky Piercer second item, but maybe even goes for War Axe. I have a quick question to you, Naisu. What do you like better? Do you like the Roger in the jungle or Roger Gold?
Oof. I would probably say Roger in the jungle. I'm not sure if I like him in the gold lane that much. I just feel like there's better choices for gold laners rather than Roger. I think he does fit in the jungle though better, especially now.
I gotta agree. That's my answer as well. I love the jungle Roger more than the gold lane. I love it more than the gold lane, and it's because firstly you have a safe way to go and clear, right? But more importantly, you're actually very active in the start of the game, and that's really the important part for the Roger. How you get the snowball early on. Meanwhile, in the gold lane, we're seeing a lot more of these, kind of weak side picks. Just scale up later on, maybe even the Claw, the carries, and then the Tons that we're seeing now. And there's another fight up top, it seems.
Ruby DD already defensively used that flicker, so a lot committed once again at the top side. Justin gonna jump in, won't be able to find the knockup he's looking for, and now Sarium Felix wants to fight back, and this could be the moment they turn around. A Minoan Fury under the turret, they pick up Sarium Felix, but they're fighting under the turret as Zidez will fall while charge gonna be used. Ruby DD does have that body of Smith, keeps him quite defensive on this Terizla, so and he dodges the shot too, so they keep it together. Turtle's up here though, but Ken gonna work on his buff as well for Lucas on the orange. So both teams will go ahead and get a reset before they commit to the objective. But man, it's very close between the two teams right now.
Playing it very, very slow, because for Myanmar, technically the way that they want to win in these team fights, I mean, the way that they want to tackle these neutral objectives is through winning the team fights. They want to go for the members first. They don't really want to go for the neutral objective first. That's what Cambodia want to do, with a wild charge and obviously with a Fredrin there to go for the last hit. That's what they want to expect. That's what they expect to go for in these neutral objective battles. So for Myanmar, the person who actually needs to tank up the turtle, the person who needs to take the aggro, shouldn't be Ken. Ken should be coming in at the very last second with the Lycan form. He can go for the gun form, just, deal some damage, poke him down, and that's what they're doing now for the second turtle.
Yeah, they're going to jump in. Once again, Lucas trying to contest this turtle. Shots coming down. He gets thrown into the air as he falls. Ken will get the turtle. Now, Sarion Felix keeping the front line under control, but also in the gold lane. Two fights happening at once. Juno will win the 1v1 versus run, but now Ken can't pick up the kill on Boxing just yet. Ruby DD will wait there patiently. He's 10 seconds away from the flicker. I think he's going to stall out as much as he can, Boxing. And it looks like he's going to do just that. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they continue down at the tier 1 turret. They finally get it. But once again, Ruby DD, flicker nearly available. Boxing still there, left to the limbs. And they'll go ahead and stall him out as long as they can. They won't be able to get the turret just yet, though, as Sarion Felix is back to the lane.
Yeah, Voxy, he has to stay up top there. He definitely needs to just, try to deny that turret take, because it would be so bad for them if they lost 2 turrets off of that play. But definitely, I want to give a massive shout out to Myanmar as to how they tackled that fight and how they adjusted right after turtle number 1, right? Because in turtle number 1, they were actually utilizing Ken as the guy to go for the turtle first. He was starting things up, he was the one dealing damage to the turtle, and he was taking aggro. And that put him in a position that was just so vulnerable. Way too vulnerable as the main carry of the team in the early game, right? So the fact that they actually played around it, the Minotaur was the one that took the turtle aggro, and it was Ken who just stayed in the back with the gun form dealing damage to it. It kind of forced Cambodia to go in, because either way, if they go in just for the steal, that's kind of not possible, knowing that Zide will use the Minion's Fury and will knock up Lucas, and they just basically, for Cambodia, they just definitely needed to look for a force into that turtle pit, and that's what they did. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for them, because then Lucas was just so open to all the damage coming in, not just from Ken, but also from Justin, who bursted him down quick, even before the turtle got into the the retribution indicator sweet spot. So for Myanmar, a good win there puts them in a very good spot now to look for the snowball, up for turtle number 3. And even in the bottom lane, Juno somehow was able to get a 1v1. Run the King, way too overextended. It was so far inside of the enemy jungle, to a point where I think he was almost below the tier 1, right? So definitely not a good spot for Run the King on this carry. You definitely want to try to go back and forth up against the Natan. You want to try to bait out the entropy and then fight when the entropy's not there. But it seems for both these teams, they actually don't want to go for the 3rd turtle, which is great for both these teams technically, because they want to actually wait up. For Cambodia, they want to wait up. They want to go for some of these levels, some of these farm before they actually go for a skirmish. And for Myanmar, it's kind of tough for them to pull off that turtle fight. But it seems for Cambodia, they're going to utilize Juno being up top to go for a fight instantly.
Yeah, Lord already half health here. Dragon form going to be used. The rest of the team making their way. There's the rough waves of the rough wave combination, and they find Lucas. Penalty zone into the back as well, forcing him back. And now it's Myanmar looking to punish even further, as Sarion Felix will drop in the exchange. So it looked like Cambodia was confident in taking the Lord, but look what happened. It was a disaster. Myanmar swings down, it gets the Lord and gets some kills, all just for their roams. It is.
And that was why I was kind of confused, right? I was saying that both teams really didn't want that turtle, wanted the Lord to spawn in so that it would delay the game to a certain point. For Cambodia, I was definitely thinking that they would actually want to utilize that to go and farm up a bit more, because even Lucas was behind of Ken by a whole level. And again, for Myanmar, they're very happy to utilize that small lead to go for these bursts, because with their composition, if they get a good initiation, they get the win, and that's exactly what they got in the last team fight. Luckily for Cambodia, though, they got a carry and a Navaria. Very good clear. The Navaria dealing AoE damage, and obviously for the carry, dealing with the Lord. So defense should still be okay, but Juno, 9th minute this time. A whole minute behind, the game 1 timer of how he got the Holy Crystal. And now Myanmar can actually start dictating the pace, can start going for these big team fights to force some neutral objectives, or to force some structures even. They'll be able to take a tier 2 up top as well, 2 of the side lane tier 2s. So still some good stuff from Myanmar, as that's also Ken completing the endless battle. For the carry, as expected, this is why I really thought for the burst!
Oh, the burst is just too much boxing. Juno, as you were just talking about it, now they'll find a triple from Sarium Felix. Breath of the Ocean knocks up Lucas. Lucas will get a kill before he goes down. A maniac for Juno. Online for this Natan, and already 10 minutes in, Myanmar just comes out with a decisive team fight. Man, were you just talking about Juno and landing that holy crystal, and then he goes and gets a maniac, Mirko.
9th minute Natan, holy crystal should be kind of illegal, right? The normal timer is 11 to 12, but you can see the damage there. Run the King got ran down by Juno on the Natan. And then next is Felix, the guy who should be tanky. He picks up a radiant armor right as he dies as well. So he was already on that. He already had some magical defense, and yet you were still shredded down. That's the power of the Holy Crystal at the 9th minute of the game, man. That's why I was so surprised with it being completed so early, because you usually get that at the 11th minute, at the 12th minute. That's usually the time that you get it. That's usually when the enemy team also has, you know, a bit more magical defense to counter that. But the fact that you got it so early means that for Combodia, at least, they didn't have those items ready, and that's why you saw Felix only get it after he died to the Natan damage. And now he has the Divine Glaive at the 11th minute.
Add salt to the wound.
This is a 13-minute, 14-minute item for the Natan. That triple kill, that maniac definitely got him here way faster. And oh man, if we were already talking about, you know, Combodia finally getting those items like the Radiant Armor, it might not even matter. Juno has a Divine Glaive. He's basically going to do true damage. Maybe up until Combodia get another, like, magical defense item on top of the Radiant Armor. If they get Athena on top of the Radiant, maybe they can withstand some of that damage. But even then, Ken will just shred through them with the Sky Piercer.
He's got the Sky Piercer,
execute. And now Lucas, how is he going to get in here?
Oh, Ken, actually, you can see how much the Lord hurts. With that change now, they're going to be in trouble. Zidis goes down in the exchange, and Sarium Felix will be the one to follow. Ken also battling it out. Penalty zone going to be used. It's a double for Ken. Juno still alive, quite healthy. Rough waves from Justin used. The trade, the 1 for 2 now. Ken is still up, but I don't even think Myanmar wants to commit to this. They're still respecting the fact that the Lord does hurt Ken quite a bit, and they could lose this possibly, as Lucas on this Fredrin will be fine to tank most of it better than Ken can. But they go ahead and get ready for the reset. Zedis will be up in a couple seconds, and meanwhile for Combodia as well, and they'll go ahead and converge back to this Lord fight as they get situated in.
Again, another amazing skirmish from Myanmar. The fact that they were able to get both Felix and Boxy there, the punishment was just real. And yeah, we definitely see the change on the Lord, right? You're going to struggle to actually go for the Lord dances on these carry junglers. So it definitely has to be Ruby DD or Zide who tanks up this Lord. Because earlier, Ken was actually very, very low. If if Combodia were able to actually initiate on Ken, that would have been pretty bad. But even then, if they use all their resources on Ken, there's that secondary carry that we were talking about, that crazy Natan, Juno. This man, it seems like on the Natan, he's just so much more comfortable, right? Because we got to see him on a different pick in game number 2, and it was different. His Claude is just not as Natan. His Natan is something special, really, man. From his farming, from the way that he enters these team fights, to the way he kites as well. And even in the mid lane, oh my goodness, almost bursting down the frontliner. No Felix. Myanmar might just look to go for this.
He forces Sarium Felix back to the base, so they know that he has to get some more time. He actually goes in with the Dragon Form instead. Look at the unleashed damage from Run the King. Ken will get the Lord though, but can they win the fight? Juno is shut down from Sarium Felix to fall for Myanmar, and now Ruby DD is next. Tries to stay alive the longest he can, but eventually will get chased down by Run the King and Boxing. But Myanmar, man, did that fight not go in their favor, as Combodia comes back into the 14 minutes of the game, but they still have the Lord to deal with. Myanmar, the game could be slipping in slowly out of their hands. You saw the team fight. You saw how much damage Run the King now has on this carry pick. They'll quickly work through the Lord and probably get some more turrets in their favor.
And it seems the combo is still a bit too deadly, right? Despite Myanmar being at a massive, like, with holding a massive gold lead, they still were actually punished heavily by the Astral Echo and the Black Dragon form that we were talking about in the drafts. The fact that the hitbox enlarges by quite a bit, the Felix can actually just jump in, and we actually get to see the damage dealt in that skirmish, and it was both, yeah, Felix and Run the King doing a significant amount of damage, but mainly it was Ra. Very deceiving. You don't get to see the Novaria damage, and once you realize it, you already get bursted down by the Astral Meteor and even those Astral Spheres and the ranged attack. I think Juno got hit by a big Astral Sphere right as Felix ran him down with the Black Dragon form, because he was able to get the execute down onto Juno. He was able to assassinate him, but the damage was placed down by Ra. So Ra is becoming a big threat now towards Myanmar as we get into the later stages of the game, and that's why we're seeing the Rose Gold Meteor. That's why we're now seeing the Blood Wings as well. They need the additional sustain, all the additional sustain that they can get. And technically, even for Ruby DD, he's very, very vulnerable to the magic damage coming in. I think they kind of tunnel vision on going for the physical defense and even the Queen's Wings, that they completely forget for Ra at least. He can actually start shredding people down. Only Zide and Ken at this point have magical defense to really handle the Novaria, and even then it might still not be enough, right? Because the Divine Glaive is already built up by Ra, and I think he's on the way to a last item, Holy Crystal. If he does get that last item, Holy Crystal, that's gonna be some crazy burst that he gets to play with. And for Myanmar, they got to start to cycle through very disciplinedly. They need to start to look for angles to take him down in the back, because if he continues to shoot these spheres and Myanmar go in a fight with low HP or even half HP, it'll just give the rest of the team, Run the King, Felix, Lucas, Boxing, so many more ways to enter in these team fights and to punish Myanmar.
Yeah, this is where you start to also see at this point in the game, as we approach, you know, that late game and everything, and we're here. And the positioning is crucial for both of the teams here, actually, for this. And like you said, I think one of the big components for Combodia to work around is just the amount of damage that comes from Ra, like on this Novaria, and the vision that it provides that we talked about so much in the draft. So with that, Myanmar is actually just going to go ahead and start blazing on this Lord, and look at the damage from Boxing. Will get less than half health here. He's still going to be fine, though. Has the immortality to work around with, too. But this, again, positioning is crucial. Saryam Felix looking for his own position and flank to come through with Dragon Form like we saw previously. Meanwhile, Ra is just assaulting, sieging from the back line. And that's why Myanmar has to be so careful with this lineup that they're facing against. And they have to plant pretty much Ruby DD here to keep the Lord at bay. Lucas doesn't really have to do anything, as it's Myanmar that wants to put the pressure around this Lord. So they find themselves half health now. It's all up to Saryam Felix to probably start this fight. They look like they get ready to go ahead and initiate, but hold on, it's a fourth of the health. It's really low. Who's going to be? Ken able to get the Lord, and there's the knockup from Zidez. But the fight's going to break out once again, and Run the King is just unleashing the Appraiser's Wrath. Will fall down. A wild charge to find multiple members. Immortality going to be popped. Run the King looking to follow up on Ruby DD, but won't be able to find the kill, and now forces Ken back on top of it. The 1-for-2 trade, but again, the Lord is secured by Ken in the exchange.
That combo is still so disgusting, man. The fact that, again, the Minotaur was able to pop in the Minion's Fury, and there's another penalty zone that comes through. So many layers of CC for Lucas to go through, and Ken just gets the free retry again. Here we get to see the replay, and you can see Zidez, look at that, right? Into the penalty zone. So you can see it. Lucas tried to dash in forward and try to juke in that penalty zone, but in the end, still got knocked up, and Ken was able to go for the last hit. Meanwhile, Juno, great entropy to the back, so they actually can, blink back forwards. And I think for Ruby DD, I gotta give him props too, because he was able to actually just stand in the front line, body block a few of these shots, and now they're actually gonna go for the siege, maybe the end game siege. Not enough though.
Yeah, not enough to get that last turret. So it's just showing here, Mirko, that Combodia's lineup is still a huge threat. I mean, look at this. Ken is quite low, and at this point, Ra can continue to fire off and kind of keep them from really putting the pressure moving forward. So yeah, Combodia lost that one base turret in the mid lane. They luckily hold on to the top one. They shouldn't lose that, even with some of these waves pushing in, unless Myanmar forces that to happen. But so far, so good for Combodia on the defensive. And it could just be them really doing this, farming up, continuing to lock in some of the last couple items that they needed, and then getting set up for the next Lord, unless they just decide, hey, we want to fight this out. We want to end this game number 3 before the objective dance even happens. You can see both teams, there's nothing for them to really want to take right now. So they're just going to zone up here into that Lord, because really for Cambodia and the lineup they have, they can't send someone to farm and push one of these side lanes. They need everyone here for this team fight as much as possible, and they know that. So for Myanmar, they can kind of bunch up, wait around for that. There's no quick way for them to just force a fight. And real quick, we see some of the items, still the last ones being to lock in.
Yeah, so I'm just hovering over the items here. Immortality, actually. So we're getting to a point where, you know, these marksmen will start to sell their boots to get their 6th item. And for Juno, it's the Wind of Nature as well. A lot of respect put into Felix because he knows, oh, Winter Crown as well there for Zidis. Interesting. So I believe he wants to go for the Minions Fury, Flicker, and maybe
Crown?
the Winter Crown.
Yep.
Because I believe now some of the changes that have been made to how you utilize that, you know, it used to be suppression. Now you can actually use abilities on top of the Winter Crown and it'll still proc. It'll still be used up there. Ruby DD gets an angle.
Oh, actually able to go in. Penalty zone already used. Run the King. Has the immortality. So they might just have to back off, but they use the Dragon Form to chase down Myanmar. They might be forced to fight this one out. Sarion Felix goes in, can't find the connection. There's a Minoan Fury. The knockup is there, and now they're going to unleash. Look at Juno's damage on top of Ken. They're going to force Cambodia even back further, and they find Run the King, and they'll run down Cambodia. Appraiser's Wrath to keep them at bay, but Myanmar might just go ahead. Oh, and a shot from Ra, able to get Zinez down. So it looks like Myanmar wants to make the play, push the top in, get that turret down, and possibly rotate for this Lord, unless Cambodia with 2 members can keep them from ending the series here. Lucas holding down the front side, Juno there using the entropy. There's the immortality. It's already going to be popped. They have the waves pushing in. Now it's up to Ra, left alone. There's not enough time, and it looks like Myanmar will be able to take this series in game number 3.